Where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. God has given us unlimited treasures in His Word. Every time we open it, we can discover a new treasure or admire an old one. What will we find today? Here's Carla Early with Treasure Hunt in the Word.
Think about the last time you had a crisis in your life. If you'd known about it before, would you have tried to avoid it? If you'd avoided it, what would you have missed learning? As Paul made his way down the coast, his goal being Jerusalem, every stop he made, Christians would warn him that he would face persecution in Jerusalem. They begged him not to go. They wanted to keep him from suffering. After all, none of us enjoy suffering or seeing those we love suffer. If it was up to us, we'd go around that suffering every time. When we see someone suffering, whether it's cancer, a death of a loved one, a financial problem, a health problem, we want to pray it away. But God teaches us and matures us through suffering and trials. He refines us, not as silver is refined, but in the furnace of suffering. We shouldn't want to pray that away. A friend of mine broke her back in a car accident several years ago. I'd been praying for her. I knew it was painful, but I also knew the worst part for her would be laying in bed while everyone had to do things for her. So that's what I prayed about the most. When we met for lunch, after she could get around some, I asked her what God had taught her through this ordeal. One of the things she said she learned was service, and she wanted to get more involved in serving at our church. She ended up helping me that next year to get a Bible study started at our church, and now she's one of the main leaders of it. God uses everything in our lives, especially suffering, to grow us and expand His kingdom. So we don't want to waste the suffering or attempt to get around it somehow. In Acts 21, the Christians in Tyre and Caesarea had not learned this yet. They urged Paul not to go to Jerusalem. Here's Paul's response from verse 13. "What do you mean by weeping and breaking my heart? For I am ready not only to be bound, but also to die at Jerusalem for the name of the Lord Jesus." In other words, don't you think I'm ready to suffer for Jesus? It's God's will that I go, so I'll go. Paul was determined to obey what God had told him to do. I read this somewhere and wrote it down. Real obedience is a statement of love that values our relationship with God over what we want to do at any given moment. Let me read that again. Real obedience is a statement of love that values our relationship with God over what we want to do at any given moment. Paul was determined to obey and follow through to the end. Do you have Paul's determination to follow God, no matter what? Or do you let people talk you out of things? How would your life be different if you followed God fully, living in complete surrender to Him? God's plans for us are so much better than ours. If you've read ahead in Acts, you know the trials Paul will have to face. But they bring him to Rome, and his converts are even in the house of Caesar. Imagine that. It's amazing what God can do with a heart that's fully surrendered to Him.
You can contact us at treasurehuntintheword@gmail.com. We'd love to hear the treasures God has given you through His Word. You can listen to other episodes on our website, which you can find in the description below. Thank you for listening, and remember, where your treasure is, there will your heart be also.